much for joining me on another episode of Starseed Activations. So today we're going to start off by pulling a Starseed card. This way it gives everyone a couple of minutes just to come into the live stream. So today's cards, it's been really interesting too because these cards have been spot on. Okay. Let's see. This looks like a really, really good card. So it says, forge, don't follow. Pave a new path. Be the leader you wish you had. And it's just beautiful, right? And it's showing us the solar system, the stars, and the new earth that we all want to experience. How wonderful is this deck? Welcome, Andrea. I love this deck. So yeah, we'll think about it like this. Each and every one of us, we have to be our own leader. And so what the star people are saying right now is they're saying that it is okay to have people that you look up to, because those people that you look up to, they're giving you a potential of something that you physically are capable of manifesting into your physical reality. And so it's okay to have people that we consider role models. What's not really okay, it is an experience, so it's allowed, and it's up to each person whether or not we wish to choose it. The star people are saying that there is no positive or negative, because when you get to a certain degree, they merge together and they become one. So everything flows back inside of itself. Now, choosing that existence in which you have an idol will always lead you to destruction, because it brings a path of separation, they are saying. So we just become aware of this. Now, when we utilize it as a role model, we see, okay, that person did it, I could do it too. That's a role model. That's wonderful. Now, each and every one of us, we always want our children to take us as a role model so that they can surpass us. And that's how we should look at each person in this world. We should look at it as, what are they doing? So let me shoot for the stars. And even if I land in the middle of the atmosphere, that's fine too, because I still made it somewhere. Right. And so we take that with that type of thought patterning, and then we allow it to just manifest into our world the way it wants to. Now, there's so many different things that we can do to manifest what we truly desire. But you have to be in alignment with the heart chakra, the star people are saying, because your heart is never going to lead you astray. If whatever it is that you feel in your heart is bringing you love, joy, and bliss, that is where you want to place your focus as often as you can. Even if it's once a day for an hour, that's okay too. You take the time to come inside yourself and to really ground in and focus on things that you love to do. Now, we can always sit here and we could worry about the trauma, the chaos, the civilization, and everything that we see happening. We could worry about it. We could stress about it. But who are we hurting in that process? Ourselves. So if it's not directly in front of us and there's nothing that we can do to help, then just go into yourself and allow yourself the peace. Because when you become at peace, your energetics can shift and change the holographic simulation. Now, through the process of meditation, each and every one of us can raise our frequencies or tune into the source frequency to such a degree in which we allow a special type of energy to radiate off of us. The star people saying it's not really a special type, it's just more of your soul frequency, which is connected into the source frequency. So it's like you have a white light pulling down inside of you. When you drop into meditation, they're showing me that white light becomes bigger. And then it radiates out further into the civilization. This is the power of meditation. So we can have a notice that crimes, accidents, drama, fighting, all of these different types of experiences, they start to lower in degree the second that a person is meditating. Now, the second that the person snaps out of the meditation, they may come right back up. That's okay too. Now, the second that we have multiple people doing this meditation, like group meditations, is very powerful, because if each person is becoming a reflection of the source frequency to a degree in which it's radiating out far and wide, and you're doing it in a group, it's going to cover more ground. So we can even do this process and we can cast the energetic back into the earth. So let's take, for an example, a railroad that just got, all chemicalized. And so what we do is we want to start organizing group meditations in which we are casting our love-based emotion, directly pulling it from the source frequency and casting it at that location grid. When we start to cast it, especially in a meditation, we thank the area for being clean, happy, and healthy. Then all of a sudden, something will shift in the holographic simulation to allow for the manifestation of that location code to raise in frequency. When you raise in frequency, you're going to naturally start to see the civilization change. Now, what this means is we've all been doing shadow work. So, shadow work we speak about, it's things that we do so that we can heal ourselves, release the density. We want to go inside, we want to do all these things. But the shadow work can be extended to the outside world as well. And so when we start to just be at peace with whatever is in our physical world, we release a type of density off of us, which allows us to cast an energetic into that location code, raising the frequency. And this can happen very, very rapidly. They do have technology that can clean all that up in like 2 or 3 days. It's possible. This is high technology. Now, some of the questions that we had come about. I had a whole download come through about the personality complex grid. And so it's a grid complex, but it has a cube structure to it. Like it looks like a cube. And the star people say it's a 64-bit cube. Okay, so a 64-bit cube that we fill with ether energetics, which is connected into multiple personality grids of other people's higher selves. So just imagine for 1 second, we have our primary down inside of us. There's other people in this world who have a soul, and their soul is connected into their own individual higher self. Now, right off the bat, we all think each one of us has a soul and it's its own soul. That's it. But the truth is that your higher self can fractal into multiple souls, multiple bodies into this world. You can come across someone who is your past life, soul reincarnation. You can come across someone who is a future soul reincarnation of your higher self. There's a type of frequency resonance that you can feel when you access that person's energetic structures. You can feel it's like a similarity where you walk up to someone and you're like, man, I feel like I've known you for like a billion years. You were just so similar. That's because your higher soul is connected, your higher self. Same thing. That's just the way it works at fractals. And then not only that, it also fractals into multiple planetary systems. So you could be a person on a different planet right now. You can have an extraterrestrial life. So some individuals, they can start to access the other lifetimes that they have right now by going inside yourself. You're able to pull your consciousness up and go and access that ET lifetime that's going, it's living right now in this moment. And so when you do that, a lot of times those two people become channels for each other because it allows a further form of communication that's easier because the higher selves are connected. It's like the soul reincarnation on Earth allows it to be because the frequency is very, very similar. Makes sense? Beautiful. So, okay, so the personality grids of other higher selves. So we may feel or sense our loved ones with us during times of trouble. This is very important because this actually happened to me. And so when I was going through my shift in 2019, I would feel friends and friends that like I haven't spoke to in maybe like 15 years. And I felt like they were with me. My voice changed and I started laughing like this person. And I was like, wow, why am I thinking about this person? Like I haven't spoken to them in like 15 years. This is the reason why. So sometimes, whether it be your higher self or whether it be through extraterrestrials helping, right? What they can do is they can pull down a personality complex of someone who's really funny when you're going through a crisis so that at least you have these tiny little fragments of moments where you're laughing uncontrollably, but you sound like your friend from 15 years ago. That's how this works. And so it is a form of communication, even though we have higher selves involved with extraterrestrials. It's amazing what the world is, and we just don't realize what it quite is yet. We've been telling you guys it's multidimensional in its nature, but you don't realize the way it fractalizes out. There's unlimited potentials and unlimited possibilities for us to choose from. Now, when we talk about fractalization of the holographic simulation, realize this. We can take a microscope and we can put a tiny little drop of blood on the microscope and we can see. So we can pull it and we can zoom into the blood and we can see further and further and further inside of that blood until you get to what looks like the 0 point. So there is a moment in time when it's the 0 point, when it's connected to uh, tachyon particles, which is directly connected throughout time and space, and it's connected up to the source frequency. So this is how the physical body works. This is also how the mind, body, spirit works, because we're able to fractalize the holographic simulation. So we have interdimensionals, which are things that are inside of us. It's inner. It's we go inside. We go into the astral realms. You can go inside and you can pick and choose different layers of the astral that you wish to choose to experience. This is okay. Those are the inside ones. So many times you have shamans will go inside. They'll talk, make contact and communication with the spiritual realms. So they bring back information to the physicality world so that we can learn from their communications. Now, extra dimensionals, whatever's on the outside of you is extra. So when we see extra dimensionals, they could be anything from star people, they could be inner earth people, they could be all sorts of people. But even the earth is just like the blood. So you can take the quantum space, it's all over the place. It's known as the ether. And so you can take just the ether and you could pull it apart and you could dive into the ether, and then you can end up in a parallel reality. And so, but the parallel realities are endless to choose from. Now, if anyone has seen the Doctor Strange movie, the second one, he kind of shows how the young girl with the star on her t-shirt, her name was America, right? And so she was able to generate a star portal, which took her into any type of parallel reality. So each and every one of the parallel realities we can kind of see as if we are pulling at the fractalized subspace of the holographic simulation that allows us access into a different world. Now, the different worlds could look amazing. They could be different colors. The star people have been telling us 5D is a different color spectrum altogether. So we are naturally going through this process by changing our density level, which changes our frequency into a more crystalline being. So when we start to crystalline, we automatically make the shift up. This process works this way because we are utilizing time space the way we see it. So we still perceive it with a delay. So it's like a timeline. We see it, we perceive it like we woke up, then we went to bed. We perceived the day. And so today's the best day ever, right? That's still a timeline because you're admitting to yourself that there is a day and not this very moment and only this very moment. So when we start to step into the true ability of everything that you see outside of you is all this moment. There's no other moment. There's just this moment. And you really start to embody that every single day. So I'm having the best moment ever, right? And I should really change that from the best day to the best moment ever and step into that timeline, because when we start to slowly unlock the time space abilities, which has everything to do with being happy or being extremely sad. So when you're extremely sad, what we see happening right now in this reality, extremely sad people, their location codes shrink. And so they may be confined to a bed. They may not be able to get up and move around and flow and function correctly. And so that's okay too, because it's only an experience. Now, when people go through that and they heal themselves, their location codes expand. Many times when you feel like you are depressed or anxious or anxiety, you can change your location codes and it changes the way that you feel automatically because you're bringing in new energy from a new environmental. So environmentals are key as well because Mother Earth has different environmental location codes. Those location codes play a factor on our biological frequency, such to the degree where if you needed to be, say, activated, or you wanted to pulse your energetics and remove density very rapidly, you can go to somewhere like Sedona. Sedona, if you're not in proper alignment, it'll make you feel sick. Some people get off the plane, they got to get back on the plane and go home because they don't feel good right away. That's because they're not quite yet at a frequency match to be sustainable with Sedona's frequency range. This is just natural. I love you too. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, Carol. I keep saying, let me take a sip. And like, I feel like I should make that into a t-shirt. So funny. The jokes that we have. Okay. So where was I? Downloading emotion codes from ETs, interdimensionals, extra dimensionals. There's a toroidal field. And so when we want to download the emotion codes, they can do it for us, or we being the divine creator that we actually truly are, we can choose to download them ourselves. So a lot of times we download these emotion codes directly from either the TV or your social media. It's depending on which person that you're actually resonating with. So the more and more that you resonate with the person, you automatically start to form an energetic cord that gets bonded to you, to that person. So I told you guys on the last live too, every single person who watches my videos, there's an energetic cord that automatically gets placed. And then if you're holding certain densities, the star people do a form of light language through me, through the words I speak, which then pulses your energetics. So I can feel certain densities that you guys are holding on to. This is allowed to be because you and I are connected at the subatomic levels. So that means if you have a look at the ether, and not only that, but you really want to take a look at the sacred geometry and the quantum physics. Dive into both of those two topics and see what life gives you, because those two topics show us that our bodies, we can start to see a pattern, a biological pattern that is in all living things that connects us. Many times, as spiritual people, we're already aware of this because we've gone through the wake up process. And that wake up process has showed us, okay, everything is connected. We're all one organism. What does that mean? We know that we're in a frequency wave. We know we're in a holographic simulation. That's what the physics shows us. And that's great. But what does that mean? What can we do with that information? So when we start to digest that information, when we really want to download something, let's say in the part in the movie The Matrix, when Neo started downloading information, it's because he figured out how to do it. So how do we do it? Well, one way of doing it is to start with the personality grid complex. It's a 64-bit cube that will allow you to pull in personalities from other people. So the star people are saying the more and more time that you spend with other people, the mirror neurons will activate and you will automatically start to download that personality complex from that person. This is normal. So we do this automatically. We just don't realize we do it. This is also how our language works. So whenever you go to another country, like right now, I speak New York. I was born and raised there. But if I go somewhere else like London, they are not used to my accent. But if I hang out with them a long enough time, their accent is going to change or modify to match mine. This is the way the personality complex works. It's the same exact thing. So just imagine for 1 second, biologically speaking, we are social creatures, and so we had to fit in with one another. We had to blend in with each other because you didn't want to fall on the outside of the social circle, because when we were in an earlier stage of our evolution, we needed the pack to survive. Make sense? So we have mirror neurons that download to try and keep us up to date with all the other people so that we fit into the collective. That was a very physical focused experience. This is what it means to be in the dark ages, the bronze ages, and go up. That focus was needed at some point during our personal experience. But it's our evolution of the human consciousness experience, not our personal. That I didn't see that in my life, but I can see it reflected into my life. So whenever you put yourself in a large social circle, that gets automatically activated. You pay attention, you focus, because you don't want to be the one on the outside. It's safety and security in a pack. So this is another reason we see the sheep mentality happening in the world. So there is a hypnosis person named Darren Brown. He's amazing. He's got a couple shows on Netflix. He's got one show called Push. He hypnotized people and they did social experiments, and he got people to push a guy off of a building. Now, just telling you, that man, thank God, was hooked up to a harness. But it was like, what, 3 out of the 4 people actually pushed the guy off the building. And so, but that just shows us that we are hardwired to be in a clan. This is the reason why people say, oh, the sheep, the sheep, right? So it is what it is. We're hardwired to live in a clan because of the way the species was evolved. This is okay too, because there's a reason for that. Now, what the star people are saying, imagine that all of a sudden, all the sheep, because everyone follows each other, we stick together in a clan, it is a mirror reflection of a frequency that vibrates out into the rest of the people. So now just imagine for 1 second that you start having new ways of thinking being broadcast, and all of the people around you are eventually going to pick onto it. He's an atheist, though. How does that work? Says it's all tricks. Oh, the hypnosis? No, it's not tricks at all. I thought it was nonsense too. It's not. what they're doing is they're putting you in a very calm, relaxed frame of mind, and then they're accessing your subconscious mind. Now, it's funny for him because he went on stage he's got another show on Netflix called Miracle. And so all of the people in the audience, he was like, I'm going to hypnose you. Well, all the people in the audience, they knew who he was. They paid however much for his tickets. I would go too. And he started automatically, they were like, bam, in a hypnotic state the second he opened his mouth. And then he had one person, he was like, is anyone a non-believer? The non-believer raised his hand. And then all of a sudden he took a piece of like magazine and he was like, now you can't read the words. And then the guy, he couldn't read the words. He read them all jumbled. So, it's just the human mind. We're fully capable of doing things that shouldn't be possible. But this is what extrasensory abilities are. The process is training yourself to unlock your subconscious mind, because when you unlock your subconscious mind, that's a direct connection in with your higher self, which then in turn allows you to manifest the extrasensory abilities into your real world life. Now, certain people, when they hypnotize people, they can put people so they can stand on the back of a chair. That scientifically should be impossible. You're not supposed to be able to put 2 feet on the top of a chair. The chair should topple over. There's been other experiences where a hypnotist took a pocket watch and it was engraved, and he hypnotized the father so that the father could not see the daughter. He took the engraving and he put it in the daughter's back. So the father was able to see through the daughter and read the engraving. That's only possible if we're living in a holographic simulation. So, oh yeah, he's been on Joe Rogan. I didn't see that one, but I'll definitely look. He's very interesting. And so not only that, but what he does, Darren Brown is his name. So what he does, he starts subliminal messaging as people are walking into his office. And so he'll put subliminal messaging all over the place. And then when they get into the office, he asks them questions and he's like, are you thinking of a red bike? And then they're dumbfounded because there's a red bike in the box that he had hidden. And so, but what did he do? He put a red bike in all sorts of subliminal programming in like window shops, on the sidewalk, all over the place. So it just goes to show that your subconscious mind is picking on to every single thing that you see. This is why it's so important to be very aware of what TV and movies that you're watching. Because when they put all the subliminal messages in, we get bombarded in our subconscious mind, and it actually starts to trigger fight or flight systems depending on the level of negativity of the movie. So just imagine for 1 second that they took people and they let them walk down the streets of New York City. And they then took those people under hypnosis. And then they started to ask them questions like, well, what did you see? The people were able to recall license plates, what each person around them was wearing, street signs. We can't recall all of that stuff. Your consciousness is known as the Sintadani stone. It's your level of focus, right? This is where your heart is placing its focus. Even though the heart and the eyes are working together, it's the pineal gland and the heart, but you're facilitating it through these eyes. Now, whatever your focus goes on, you're actually sending energy just like Superman. So when we are focused on one thing, like I can see the pen, but then my mind and my eye can see an entire picture around the pen. So all of those details are pretty blurry to me. So I can't really see them. I'm just focusing on the pen. The pen is sharp. I can read the words on the pen, right? But the rest of the picture frame, it gets stored into the subconscious mind. So if someone knocked me out and put me under hypnosis, all of a sudden, all of the details that I didn't see because it was blurry comes into full focus. Our bodies have been designed to do this. We're very, very powerful beings. So when we start to pull at the memory grid complex, this is what the star people have an ability to do. They can pull at the memory grid complex. Anytime I'm holding this pen, they can pull at the pen, he's saying. And so when they pull at the pen, they can then access all of the memories that me and the pen engage together with. Yeah, wonderful. Does anyone have any questions? Let me take a sip. Okay. The originals. Okay, we got 2D, 3D, up until 12D encoded on top of this realm. The Merkaba pushes out into 3. So there's 3 perspectives of the 3D that we have. And it's connected into the halo and the source frequency rings. So the source frequency rings, the binary codex frequency makes up your physical form. Your location code is where in the holographic simulation you are right now. And then your experiential, how old you are, what experiences that you've gone through. That experiential is directly tied into the memory grid complex, the star people are saying. So when we start to access different dimensions, different densities, your energetic grid structure, it's either activated or it's not. The more and more energetic clearing and work that you do, the more you're going to start to activate this grid system, and it's going to give you access into different polarities and different expressions and different parallel realities. Now, a dimension, think of a dimension like this: uh, length times width times height. Whatever, you understood that. So length times width time, this makes it 3D. Well, 4D is pulling back the consciousness so you can see everything in the 3D, but you see it from a perspective of back there, so you see it beyond time and space. That's what 4D is. Now, 4D is kind of like a half note. So it's like a black key on the piano. It's not a solid white key. So we don't stay in 4D very long. This is the reason why they keep saying we go to 4D and then we shift right away to 5D because 4D is kind of uncomfortable. 4D we can kind of see manifest in the civilization right now. So when we have a look at the civilization, some of us are already accessing instantaneous manifestation abilities. That's 4D. Now, when we start to access 5D, you're going to see the whole, he's saying the entire civilization will be up to 5D. That's basically when you vibrate into alignment with a high enough frequency range in which unity consciousness becomes fully engaged and activated for the whole to be one and the one to know it is the whole. That's beautiful. Okay. 4D is access over time and space. So how do you know that you are accessing 4D right now? So just imagine for 1 second, it's a perception. And so it's the way, what is a perception? It is the way that you see your world. You woke up this morning, you opened your eyes. What did you see when you opened your eyes? That is your perception. What did you taste? What did you touch? What did you sense? What did you feel? That is how you perceive your reality. Your reality is completely different than mine. Now, I've been at the level where most of you guys are, and there's still 1,000 more levels for me to go. So we should never, never idolize anybody, because even no matter where they are, all of these consciousness levels are circular. So you can get up to the tippy top and you think, oh, it's like a pyramid, like a triangle, like the way that we've been taught since we were kids. That's nonsense. And so you get up to the top, but there is no top. It's a circle. So then you go back around. And so this is also the way the yuga cycles work. Consciousness goes like this. We go up to a golden age, and then we come back down, and it's like a breath of life in and then a breath of life out. So it goes like that. But it's actually spiraling up in a vortex, and it's like a shifting around type thing. Like if someone could computer animate it, it would look wonderful. But that's how it works. And then not only that, but there's two of them. So it's kind of like an X. This is kind of where the whole theme of the cross comes from, because you have energy running this way, but it's also coming out of your heart. And then not only that, there's a secondary one. So it's kind of like two X's put together. So when you start to spin them, those X's are connected into the Merkaba field, which is a triangle up and a triangle down. Now, if you want to take the 3D perspective, imagine that triangle. Each side is 1, 2. Those are your three primary frequencies. That gives us access into 3D. And so that's in your energetic grid structure. It's a triangle up on the Merkaba. But the triangle down is the whole 4. That's a number 4 is inside of that one. And so that one grants you access into 4D. That's how you overcome time and space. That's when the Merkaba field is completely balanced and rotating correctly. It puts a spin onto it. So when we start to activate the Merkaba field, it starts to protect the memory grid complex as well. Do we work with the elementals or they choose us? You can choose them. They could choose you. Now, what the star people are saying is it's a type of bond that each individual who lives on Mother Earth has naturally. And so even by me and you sitting here saying who picks who, right? They're overriding all of that. And they're saying every single person on the planet is connected, because Mother Earth can push a frequency up and she can change the elementals, which changes the person. So let's take for an example, if a person is very angry, So anger is a static electricity energy. Mother Earth is made of ether, which is a light ion that's inside of us too. We're made of light ions. She's made of light ions. The entire everything that you see is a light ion. It's light. It's a frequency, or it's a sound. Whatever you guys want to call it, it's okay. It's all frequency. So if that person is holding a lot of chaos and static electricity, the way that he manifests is going to be completely different than the way that I manifest. So in my reality, I can already see, for the most part, I'm always in the right place at the right time to avoid danger and trouble. That's just me. You guys can probably you can definitely, they're saying you can definitely activate that too. It's a divine alignment. Open your heart chakra, come into the source frequency, be loving, caring, kind to all people, and do no harm. And when you do that, you automatically pull down the source frequency, which puts you into a protection. So, but when we see someone who is in a lower frequency and holding a lot of anger or static electricity, then that person's manifestation is going to be a little bit more chaotic. He may have more screaming, more arguments. The wind may push on him more because the wind feels his energy coming. So nobody will ever explain to us, where does the wind come? It comes from human consciousness. It comes from the earth consciousness. So when we know this, now all of a sudden we have certain people, and I do sessions for people, and some people are wind benders, and I tell them to go outside and get one of those spiral things that you put around and just try and project your energetics of love and light and thank the wind for blowing it. And people are actually able to do this. So we are able to control the elementals. It's not really a form of control. It's releasing resistance and allowing it to manifest. So it gives us the perception of being in control, but there's a process to do it. You can't hold any resistance. So if you're going to get angry and upset that it didn't work, it's not going to work for you. If you're just like, whatever, and you activate your childlike mind and you're just like, thank you, sunshine, thank you, blue skies, and then all of a sudden you go about your day and you're happy and positive, the more you do that, the more you're going to see blue skies and sunshine. I do this with my kids all the time. I know for a fact it works. I've proven it to myself. So my kids have proven it. And then not only that, but two is stronger than one. So I was all, come on, sunshine. And my kids were all, come on, snow. And they got a light dusting. They made a snowman that day. And then by the end of the night, it was gone again. We only got one snowstorm, and I'm up a mountain, and everybody else has had like so much snow and so much shoveling. Not me. So it's real. It's beautiful. It's a wonderful world. It really, truly is a beautiful world. I know that we could sit here and we could see all of the negative things in the world, and you can dwell on them. We have the choice, right? But the second that we're just like, there's the picture of a pink flower just came into my mind, because there's some street photographers who they take a photograph of a little pink flower that's hanging out the concrete, and then all of a sudden the rest of the picture looks like crummy. But in that crummy environment, there's that one tiny perfect pink flower. And so we can either see the good in this world or we can see the bad in the world. Now, the star people are showing me, imagine imagine fractaling out. And so when we talk about putting the blood on the microscope and zooming all the way in, that's a fractal, because you're expanding it. And they always make a square. In the energetic grids, when I do my sessions, they pull apart each and every chakra in a square. So they square it out. I don't know why they do that. This is just what they told me to do. So when you're taking a look at a positive, when you see that pink flower, pull it out. Thank you, universe, for the pink flower. Thank you for showing me all sorts of beautiful things in this world. Thank you for giving me the best water. I drink the best water ever, right? You're starting to make positive affirmations into the hologram. Now, what's going to happen is your perception is going to shift. So even though that pink flower is surrounded by crummy stuff, you still saw it. Your eyes automatically went there. When you look at a room, when you look at a room, your eye chooses where to place your focus. You can either focus on the cleanliness of the room or the coloring of the room, or you can go right to the trash bag is full. That's your choice, but that's your consciousness's choice. And a lot of times your subconscious mind is controlling where your focus goes. You get attracted to look at certain things. Now, when we know this, then all of a sudden we can start to say, it's okay that the trash bag is full because the rest of the room is spotless clean. There isn't a fleck of dust anywhere, right? So you can choose to see the positive or you could choose to see the negative. But if you have shades running, shades block you from seeing the positive a lot of times, and they trigger you to see negative. This also goes into the whole theme of attachments. So attachments, whenever they're latched onto you, they trigger us to see the negative more times than we are able to see the positive. This is just a part of what happens. So by casting them off of us, and all of a sudden it's clearing that, we put love and light into the body, so we seal the energetic grid, and then we rebalance our focus, and we consciously, utilizing the willpower, have the ability to come inside and choose. It doesn't matter. We say, not today, universe, right? I'm going to focus on love and light. I'm going to focus on myself and making myself better. Now, if your house, and I know this is crazy with people with kids, if you don't like your house and it's not clean, get up and clean it, and do it 1,000 times. It doesn't matter. Because if you do it, you know it's going to be clean. So that's like a big thing for a lot of people, where it's like living with other people and it's like your space gets invaded. So when we start to see things like that reflected, it's calling you to put more love into the situation. And then you can even put more love into the people and have them love you back. And then all of a sudden they want to help you keep it clean. So whenever we start to see reflections like that, it means that you're not giving enough love to those people or places or things to raise the frequency. So here's one trick. If you go, like, let's say you go into your kitchen and you do energetic clearings and cleansings on it, right? So you clean off the countertop, you love and bless it. I love you, kitchen. I love and bless your kitchen. The more you raise the frequency of the kitchen, it's automatically going to be less dirty. Have you ever walked into someone's house and they love their house and they keep their house spotless clean, and like you open the door and you're like, oh man, I got to take my shoes off, right? Why? Because you got pulled, you got impulse to, the emotions inside this house was so cleanly and so happy and positive and bright that it triggered you to, oh, I have to keep it clean. So whenever we walk into a new location, let's say for an example, you guys walk into a new restaurant or a new, wherever you guys are going to go eat, it's like a restaurant. And so when you walk in, you're seeing the shine because you're seeing it for the first time. But if you hang out in that environment more and more and more, that shine starts to diminish, and then you start to notice things about the restaurant that you didn't notice the first time you were there, right? But that first viewing of the restaurant, how did it make you feel? It's always that first viewing. You always want to make notes. What emotions got triggered the first time you walked into any location? Did you feel calm? Did you feel serene? Did you feel like you wanted to meditate, or did it spike your heart up and you felt like you were having an anxiety attack? How did it make you feel? Now, going into the physical body is of great value, because you have to know how your body makes you feel. Many times we wake up and we shrug it off. We don't want to hear it, right? And we're not listening to the signs and the synchronicities from our body. Your body, if your body is having any tension, any tightness, any pressure. Now, many times when we put people down to hypnosis or just to lay down and to drop into meditation, how does your body feel? Many times you see what my shoulders just did? Just a tiny little bit up. You would never notice until you purposely tried to relax them, and you would feel it's slightly different, right? So just take a moment and squeeze each muscle and then allow it to relax. Now, if you go to sleep and you do this and you squeeze each and every muscle, and then you're like, now you can relax, and do it for the entire body. So do it for the feet, do it for the shins, do it for the upper legs, right? You go over the entire, but it's tiny, tiny areas. Do it for the hands, do it for the arm, this part of your arm, then do it for the upper arm, right? So you do every tiny little section of the body. Now, when you're holding energetic, that's a well, he's saying it's a disharmonic energetic in your energetic grid structure. You will start to notice muscle knots or some sort of tension or tightness in the body first before a disease can manifest. This is very important, because when we start to notice that there's any tension or tightness, it allows us to send the energetic grids love and light, which then in turn is going to start the process of calming down the physical form. Now, you must work with the energetic grids first, because the time space frequency wave has a little bit of time before the manifestation process starts. So when you start to work in the energetic grids, you give it a couple of days, then a couple of weeks, then all of a sudden you'll start to notice that your body area is very relaxed. And so you have to go inside yourself and how does it make you feel? How does your head feel? Can you wiggle your body? How do you feel when you sit down all day? What aches you? What doesn't bother you? Is your heart heavy because you don't have enough joy and excitement or love and bliss in your life? Well, how does it make you feel? How do all these emotions make you feel? These emotions, if I sat down and told you the human race is extensive, we can feel deeply, a lot. They stopped me from saying what I was going to say. We can feel very deeply. And so, because of that, it is of great high value to be able to pick and choose the emotional expression that we wish to experience in the now moment. And so, if we speak that happiness, joy, love, and bliss is something that allows you to experience more positively aligned timelines, then that is something that each of us can choose to focus on. I choose to focus on love, joy, and bliss because that's what I want to pull into my physical world. I also focus on willing or manifesting my highest potential. What is my highest potential? This doesn't mean that you have to be a rock star and you have to get it right in the first shot. You can stumble, you could fail 1,000 times. It only takes one time to get it right before you make it happen, right? But the trick of it is to just try a little bit each and every day. So, what does my highest potential look like? I sit down, I write out a list. My highest potential, she does X, Y, and Z. Apparently, she has curly hair because this is the new thing that's staying. Starman loves it. So, but the highest potential is drinking water. I used to drink soda. It was like a gallon a day. Then I switched to iced coffee. Then it was ridiculous. I was hitting the drive-through 2, 3, 10 times a day. Ridiculous. I didn't drink any water. I didn't even like water at the time. So, but now I see all of my patterns are starting to shift because I'm starting to will or manifest my highest and greatest potential. Now, when you follow your highest passion, you automatically start to pull in that higher potential because your highest passion is directly connected to your higher self. Your higher self controls the highest passion. It's kind of like this is what you have when you are born is your highest passion. It's in your heart waiting for you to expand it. Many times people don't know their highest passion right now in the now moment. That's okay too because what the star people are saying is if you don't know what it is, it means that highest passion is not in your current reality. So let's say, for an example, people who wish to manifest extrasensory abilities, that may be your highest passion is utilizing that ability. Let's say, for an example, you are one of the nature ability people. And so you may have the ability to take a plant and make it grow instantaneously throughout time and space because you're manipulating the time space frequency on the plant. So you could take a seed and you could grow the plant instantly. This is a real extrasensory ability. And so when that's your highest passion and potential, are you going to be able to access it right now? You're not going to be able to sit there and do it right now because you have to place focus, you have to unlock, you have to do the shadow work. There's a lot you have to do. Now, some people don't have to do all that work. Some people are just going to go inside and fire off the light body and be able to activate these gifts. So every single potential is available for manifestation. Every potential. And so when we say you can't really say, for an example, you can't say all people are allergic to peanuts because you will eventually see one person who eats them just fine. And so there's always that exception to the rule. Did you guys see the orb? Did you see it? I saw it. I love when they show up. It's wonderful. So you can't always say there's always an exception to the rule. Now, well, why did they stop me? Sometimes, I mean, I've always been like a rebel. So some things I'm gonna say is like rah, right? And they're like, no, it's not how we were meant to talk. We are meant to be very loving, caring, kind, and go inside and right. So yeah, it's wonderful. It's a learning process, I guess. Okay. So our true divinity and our multidimensional nature. Now, this is key because when we start to activate the multidimensional nature, it gives us access into not only parallel realities, but inner dimensions as well. So the inner dimensions, just imagine for 1 second, if anyone ever was like, I want to take a pause on life, there are certain techniques that you can do. It's like an inner technique, though, that no one can show you. You have to be able to do it yourself. You just will it. But you are able to take your consciousness inside and like pause your time space on your holographic simulation and then live out 1,000 years in the astral realm. And then when your soul is ready, you can come back to the holographic simulation that we know to be life. That's possible too. That's like living in an extended dream until you're ready to wake up. That's all it is. Time space is not real. It is all perception that we witness. We see it. Now, the people in comas, right? So this is a very interesting topic because the people in comas, what did they go through to put them in that coma? Most of the time, but not all of the time, it is a trauma or tragedy. So when we see traumas or tragedies or really low, dense experiences, that soul will step back and they will go into the realms. The astral realms are directly connected into 5D and the heavens. So just imagine for 1 second, we perceive 5D as being encoded directly on top of our frequency range. That's true because all the frequencies kind of like go in a bandwidth. And so there's multiple layers to it. Just imagine like you're making a sandwich. You have the cheese, you have the bread, you have the meat, all this stuff. It's all layered. This is how the frequencies work. And this is how we're able to take the particles and open them like a fractal and see into a different parallel reality. This is also what the particle collider is doing. So the particle collider is playing with subatomic particles. We can't see them. They have cameras that can see them, and they're taking them, supercharging them with light because they're making them powerful, putting energy behind them, smacking them together so that they can see into a parallel reality. This is what they're doing. The thing that they don't have right is that they have to do it with some type of frequency where they're controlling. Well, the star people are saying that they know that. Never mind. They're like, they do that already. Okay. But they're doing it in such a sense in which it should be more open to the public so that the public is fully aware of all materials that are happening at that building. Whenever we start to see the technology being suppressed is kind of like, why? So, me personally, I fully understand the benefit. So, my glass is half full. We don't have access to the high technology. We can't take a magic wand, which is a piece of technology, wave it over your head, and just magically fix you. Right? We don't I don't see people doing that right this second, and that's okay too. Because what happens now when we don't have access to the high technology? We are kind of forced to go inside and to activate our inner technology, which grants us access to doing those things. And so we are having this conversation today because I had to heal myself because the technology on the outside, it didn't work for me. The doctors didn't know what was wrong with me. No one could fix me. Right. So I had to go on the inside and I had to find my own answers. Now that's only with my own physical body. Now I tapped the mic. Now just imagine that you are now learning how to instantaneously manifest. I've instantaneously manifested stuff before. So I know it to be a solid fact that we have this capability of doing this. So if we had technology and we had replicators, would we be sitting here trying to do this? Probably not. We would not because we'd be, and it would take, the star people saying it would take over 100,000 years for humanity to evolve to a high enough degree in order to hit the levels in which we are trying to reach for. So the first level of consciousness that we want to raise into is 4D and then very, very rapidly shift into 5D. But the truth of the matter is that humanity's consciousness grid was at an even higher level. So humanity, no one knows how this is going to go because there's multiple potentials out there. So they can see the potential, the highest probability of the potentials. But this, what happens the second that you tell someone the potentials is it changes all the potentials. So that's how time space works. It gets all twisted and all sorts of stuff. So it's like you can kind of use it, but you can't kind of use it because it depends on the individual's frequency. And when you know, you can't rock their frequency because then it will shift them. Right. So this is kind of how it works. So that's why star people will never tell us what's going to happen. They don't even like telling me potentials. And I'm all like, give me the info. Right. Like I want to know. But they're like, there's no point in knowing because at any minute you can shift your potentials. So when we start to learn that, though, this is the reason why they're like, you have to learn how to shift your frequency because through the process of shifting your biological frequency, dropping into the heart and activating your heart space, that's going to change the potentials into a positive alignment. The second that your potentials are in a positive alignment, It doesn't matter what the old potentials were. Now, how easy is it for us to drop into the heart and change our potentials? It's so simple, super simple. So all you need is one happy thought. So you just drop into the heart, take a deep breath in, everyone, and release. Feel inside the lower space inside your heart. Just feel it. Feel happy and joyful and blissful for any emotion, any memory that you guys have that comes up. What I like to personally do is I visualize Mother Earth. So take another deep breath in and release. So I visualize standing on Mother Earth. Maybe I'm standing on a beach. We have all the air, it's nice and gentle on my face. The sun is nice and warm, it beats down on my body. I feel my feet have a little heat underneath them, so I'm ready to go walk next to the water. I feel joyful and happiness and blissful because I'm going to get to build a sandcastle with my kids. Now, way out in the ocean, I see a dolphin, maybe I see a whale. Now, I also visualize a rainforest, and I also visualize that there's a rainfall there. And I visualize standing underneath that rainfall, saying, "Thank you so much that the water is not cold and I'm happy and comfortable and content in it." I ground into Mother Earth, just thanking her so incredibly much for this joyful, beautiful moment. I open my heart. I smell the flowers. I smell the trees. I feel grounded and connected to Mother Earth to such a degree where all of my troubles, all of my worries just disappear from my reality, and it grants me access into this tiny, tiny moment of bliss. Now take a deep breath in and release. How does your body feel? How do you guys feel after doing something like that? It really does, it like winds you down a little bit, right? So I feel much calmer. I feel cool, calm, and collected, right? So that's how simple it is to switch right into the heart chakra. And then you take it from there. So anytime that you are feeling stress, anxiety, I can't do this, right? We take a baby step and then we drop into the heart. Thank you, heart. Thank you, Mother Earth. Visualize all of the beautiful, joyful things that we see on this earth, and we can you there's got to be a video where they're flashing all sorts of these nature scenes, showing you under the ocean, playing with the fish, playing with the dolphins, right? And all sorts of beautiful moments on this planet. We are not shown this enough. When we start to look and focus on the positive moments, then all of a sudden you see that you can make a complete change in the way that your body feels in the now moment. So even if you have to take photos and go into like whatever app and make your own video and put positive music, maybe some piano or violin. Violin heals cancer. So depending on what emotions you guys need, if anyone has PTSD, they should be listening to rainfalls or have like a water machine next to them because it helps with anxiety. So when we know this, those are all sounds, those are frequencies. So make a slideshow with beautiful imagery. You can even use the solar system, right? Make it beautiful, make it your own. You can even have, the rainfall in the background, but then you can even record your voice and you could overlay all these things. I believe Apple has iMovie or something where everyone could do this. It's super simple. And so, but what you want to do, if you can record yourself for an hour talking positive affirmations to yourself. Now, your voice never sounds like your voice when you listen to it over an audio. It just sounds completely different, and that's okay too. But your subconscious mind knows it's your voice. Everyone's voice is encoded to their specific frequency. So when we start to do things like making positive videos for us to listen to and watch, hey, you're beautiful, right? Put that on your audio. You're wonderful. You're fantastic. Everybody loves you. You're super funny. You're intellectual, right? You start to give yourself positive affirmations. It doesn't matter if it's not true in the now moment. Your subconscious mind will pick on to the information that you are trying to program yourself with, and then it will start to manifest in reality. Now, we've all heard, well, I don't know if you guys have all heard, we've all heard that there's certain languages that you put on your headphones and you go to sleep, and then one day you wake up and you know all the words. That's how powerful the subconscious mind is. So this is like the beginning stages of instantaneous downloads because you're utilizing time space to will it or manifest it into your physical reality. So we take this information, we start to hack it. How can we use it for our best interest? We have to make it ourselves. We have to use our voices, because our voices, our subconscious mind knows and trusts it's coming from us. Now, speak very positive things and then say what you want. What is it that you want? You guys all need to have goals, right? What is it that your goal is? Today, I wrote down, here was my goal. This way you guys can see where my mind is at. My intention for today is to help as many people as I can to activate an emotional love. I hopefully check that with my rainfall forest. Like, I hope everyone felt an emotion code of love, right? I hope that it made your heart warm and joyful and blissful, right? And so, but that's it. That's my intention for today. That was my intention. So, what is your intentions? What is it that you guys want to bring into the world? To me, it's touching people, it's helping people. That's my intention every day, every morning. So, yeah. Okay, what else do we have? Let me take a sip. Okay, so we have light language and DNA activations. Please speak on them. So, light language. Now, just imagine for 1 second the way that we do, the way that you channel through telepathic communication is all done using a form of light linguistics, the star people are saying, which is very similar to light language, but it has a little bit more mathematical into it. And so they are sending emotion codes, each experiential. So let's say, for an example, every single word that is flowing through my mind, my mouth, is, each word has its own emotion code. And so, how does the word make you feel? Let's take the word radiant. How does that word make you feel? How does it resonate in your body? How do you feel? How does wet make you feel? How does dry make you feel? Right? Automatically, what's happening is the second that you say a word like rainforest, your mind has already made up an image of rainforest. So now, if I say the rainforest is blue, what just happens is your mind made an image of a rainforest, and then your mind had to make a secondary image of a blue rainforest. And so, but this is how the emotion codes work. Every single word, it has an emotion code behind it, but it gets, it goes 2 or 3 levels deep, because they can continuously change the emotion codes depending on what it is that they need to say. So when we know this, now all of a sudden it allows for a particular type of frequency wave to be broadcast. So just imagine that you can have a subliminal frequency on top of another frequency wave. You won't hear the second frequency because it's encoded. So it's at a frequency where you just can't hear it. A lot of times he's saying maybe some people who have the audio abilities, you may hear a ringing in your ear or like popping or something. And that's because of the light linguistics that's coming through the channeling. So the channeling, what it is designed to do, it's pulsing your energetic grids to remove density. So we have a look at that. What does that mean? That means a lot of times you'll listen and you'll feel a lot lighter and brighter. So when I usually get done with the channeling, I feel like a rock star. I feel like $1,000,000 because I'm like, okay, this is wonderful. I'm excited. And then all the stuff comes in. So yeah, you hear the popping with every word. That's light linguistics. It's because we're each, and it's even for me too. I'm no different than you guys, right? I get hit with the frequency firsthand. So the frequency, it clears your energetics and makes you feel lighter, makes you feel better. So this happens naturally with human beings when we are around charismatic people. We just didn't have the technology to describe it. We just knew that, oh, their energy was wonderful, right? But there's actually, that energy is coaxing a love-based emotional frequency out of you. That's why you feel good, right? Because that person has the ability to touch your heart, even if it's not, you don't sense it as he's not like a loving, caring kind. He's just charismatic. It's the same thing, because that emotional frequency that he radiates and is magnetic is pulsing your energetic grids, and it's making you radiate different types of emotion codes. So when we start to develop our telepathy, what we are going to do is we are going to utilize different emotions to project them at people. The easiest one to do is by opening your heart and sending love. Did you feel it? Now, if you sit together and you face someone, you got to take your glasses off. But if you take your glasses off and you look at someone in the eyes and you say, "My heart to your heart, I love you," and then you heart hug each other, you will feel love. You guys know what love feels like. So the second that we have that emotion code inside of us, now try and back up a little. Don't make physical contact, but try and project it at each other. You could project it through your eyes. You could just radiate it from your heart. It's okay. Whatever it is that you guys choose to experience, it's okay. And it's okay if maybe you don't feel it. You will in time. But it's taking the first step of making knowledge. Okay, this is how it works. This is the baby steps. Now let me put it into motion. Let me practice it. Even if it's only for somebody. Hey, practice sending you love and let me see if you could feel it. Can you feel it? Can you feel when I make you awkward and uncomfortable? People always feel when I make them awkward and uncomfortable, right? And so it's like a look. And you make the look at them and they're just like, you know what I do? You could feel it because it's an emotion code. So when we start to learn, okay, you radiating emotions at me is going to have me trigger an emotion, then all of a sudden it makes us a little bit more responsible for what emotions we radiate. We've all also felt when someone really toxic comes in the room, you can feel it right away and you're like, oh, right? That guy's really, we got to get out of here or he's got to go. That was the old 3D paradigm. Now, when we see someone who's really toxic, we should be opening our hearts and sending them love because it'll start the process of raising his frequency. So it's wonderful, right? But the second that we learn that we're all connected and unity consciousness, this is what we want to focus on. Things like this come up in our daily conversations because learning to send emotion codes, it doesn't stop with being in person. I can send each and every one of you guys an emotion code right now that will touch your heart. We just did it with the rainforest. You guys all felt the emotion codes being triggered, right? And so now take that concept and share it with every person you know. Hey, we're talking about emotion codes today on Starseed Activations. So let me share what I learned with you. Let me show you. I'm going to send you love. Can you feel it? Even if they think that you're crazy, you're sending the person love. So you're going to touch their heart. They're going to warm for a minute or two, right? So what happens to the fight or flight systems when we start the process of activating love-based emotions? You just have to hold it for like 30 seconds, not even a minute. Just try it for 30 seconds, holding on to one thing that you love the most. What happens is a cascade of hormones get released. It makes your body feel super, super good. It makes you feel better. But the more and more, like anyone who's hardcore depressed, you should be focusing on love for 1 minute every hour to start with. And so you can have a little timer set on your phone. When it rings, you focus 1 minute. What are 5 things that you're grateful for? If you don't have 5 things, that could potentially be true. Focus on 3. If you don't have 3, focus on 1. Right? And then you take it another step forward. Now all of a sudden you're happy and grateful for this one thing. Can you be happy and grateful for 2 things? What are 2 things? What are 2 things that make you feel love and joy and bliss and excitement? Because the emotions that we radiate, let me tell you, it's magnetic. And so we've always heard that other people have personalities that are very magnetic. What does that mean? I never knew until the star people explained. Your magnetism comes from your heart chakra. You have magnetism on the left-hand side, and you have electrical systems in the body that are on the right-hand side. Of course, they intertwine. That's how the Kundalini channels work. Now, when we start to recognize that someone is magnetic, it means that there's a pull there. We want to be next to them. Why? Because they feel good. Why do they feel good? Because they're radiating a form of love. Either love for what they are doing, so that they are shining bright or shedding, as I believe the Chinese people call it. But their aura field expands because they are following the highest passion. They are being true to who they are meant to be, right? Each and every one of us is a fractal of the source frequency. And so each and every one of us is encoded with our own highest passion. Your job in this entire life is to focus on love and focus on your highest passion. Nothing more. That is our job while we are here and while we are alive. We're here to learn how to love each other through adversity. This civilization is adversity. This is like a master college class, if I've ever seen one. And so, can you love each and every person outside of your door unconditionally in this civilization? I can. You can too. All of us can do it. You just make the choice to do it. No matter how hard it seems in the moment, you can. Facebook froze. We're waiting. You guys froze. In the moment, we can make the choice to take a deep breath in and just allow. Right. And if you need help, you can call upon your guides too. And so if a situation is really driving you nuts, you feel like you're having an anxiety attack, call upon the guide, call upon the star people. Thank you guys for helping me to rebalance my emotions in the now moment. What is it that you have to see or perceive or sense or feel to bring you back into a based emotion? What do you need? You need to just close your eyes and visualize a memory that made you happy. And then all of a sudden, you'll start the process of rebalancing yourself. Now, some experiences that we have may be potentially traumatic. It may not take a minute to rebalance, it may take an hour. And in that case, I would drop into a deep meditation. I would start questioning the entire experience. Why did I experience this? What am I here to learn from this experience? Is it a cycle repeat? Why is it here? What can I do to transmutate this experience so that I don't manifest it again? I like to ask why for everything. Every single thing that I experience, why? Why is it here? And this, I feel like the question why makes us powerful. Now, have a look at children. Children ask why all the time. All the time. It's like they go through a stage. Why? All day long. And then, of course, the adults get kind of frustrated. Facebook froze. The adults get frustrated and they're like, oh, with the why. But this is how human beings are supposed to be hardwired. We just went through a type of programming. TV is a program. We went through a programming that made us turn off the why. Right? Don't ask why. This is how it is. It is what it is. And then all of a sudden, it's like, okay, when someone enters a commandment. Now, if you guys take a look at the way the police they speak to people, what's your name? Where are you from? Right? They're commanding information out of you. And so it is what it is a commandment. It's also attached to an attachment, by the way. And so if anyone is experiencing it is what it is, right? Cast the attachment off and see if anything changes. But you also, when you cast the attachment off, you have to encode love and light into your energetic rich structure and take a saltwater bath so that you release the emotions from any and all hair on your body associated with that attachment. Very important. So, yeah, after the trauma, you look back and see what you learned. That's very, very true. And so, but even if it happens, you dive into it. How did it make you feel? Why was it here? Always ask why. So if we never stopped asking why, let's say, for an example, we did the school district differently. And so the school district, you don't have time for whys. This is what the textbook says. This is what we know. We're reading it. Then you have to regurgitate your answer. Now, when the child is allowed to ask 1,000 whys, then all of a sudden they can start to form their own pictures. So we are supposed to be asking why for everything that we see. Why do we do it like this? Why? Does it work better another way? Or is this the only way? Is this the best way? Let me tell you something. There's always a better way to do things. Always. This is the process of evolution, and it's circular in its nature. Right now, we can perceive that we're up here on the circular graph, but then it just moves and it moves and it moves. And so this works like this. Now, just imagine we get to such a degree in which we form space. We get to go into space with high technology and UFOs, our own UFOs for humanity, right? So go team humans. So now we're in outer space. What happens? A spaceship goes all the way across a galaxy, for an example, which there is teleportation. So you don't actually have to travel across the galaxy, but some civilizations choose to do so that they can experiment and they can learn about all the different planets in that solar system vicinity, the star people are saying. So while you're traveling, now all of a sudden stuff breaks. What would you guys do if your computer broke? That would be a wrap, right? Like if you were unable to go down to the store and purchase a new one. Let's say we didn't have any stores. You had that iPhone. What happens when that iPhone breaks? You're out of luck, right? That's how it works. So that's kind of how this yuga cycle works, where you're in a dark age, a bronze age, silver, and then a golden age. But it's not age, it's race, the golden race. And so we start to bring in the technology, and then all of a sudden we go through the golden years, and then we start to fall back asleep. This is part of that circle, right? So remember, I'm telling you, there's a vortex heading up to the source frequency. Well, just imagine the yuga cycle is light and then dark. What does your toroidal field or your Merkaba field look like? We know the aura field comes in like this. It gets wrapped directly through the heart chakra and it radiates out. It's connected to a triangle up and one down that are counter rotation. That's your Merkaba field. Now, when we have darkness bleeds into light. Light is born inside of darkness. This is what that means. If you wanted to birth a new solar system, you would have to have darkness, a blank space, and then all of a sudden a sun would appear because the sun would be birthed out of that darkness. That's because of the toroidal field and the way the energetics flow into one another. So this is why the star people are saying we see positive and negative as if they are two different things, but when you hit a certain degree, they start to intertwine and work together because they are one and the same. So this is the reason why the star people keep saying we have the source frequency. It's a very, very rapid frequency up top, very fast. And then it starts to slow and we see the physical reality. And then it gets very dense and straight lined. And we see the underworld, which is darkness. However, the underworld is where the attachments live. So they're here. We just can't see their frequency range. That's because they're attached into the void frequency. So the source frequency and the void, it's one frequency wave that comes down. It's just different frequencies. So we take the radio waves, right? A radio wave, every single radio wave, it has different dials that you can turn to. So 106.1, Pot 97, whatever other frequencies on your radio, but it's just a different frequency range. It's the same exact frequency type, though. So that's how this works. It's one frequency, and then it just changes the actual vibratory frequency of that frequency wave. So just imagine that he's saying that that's how the entire system works. But the second that you become fully aware of how that system works, it allows you to pick and choose which area of the source frequency that you wish to express. And so let's say you choose to fill your glass half with water. Then all of a sudden you would be choosing to perceive a higher frequency of the same source frequency wave. Yeah. I used to listen to frequencies on the radio as a child that would help me sleep. Absolutely. Yes. Okay, let me see. So the Rose, the Magdalene, and Isis collectives. This whole group of three different collectives has been coming up for me nonstop too. And so the Rose Collective in my life, I was calling it, I had a grandma named Rose. And so then I found out because the star people told me she was connected, the Rose Collective is connected into the Magdalene Collective. And so all three of these are like the feminine energetic. So many of us, and it's 1111 on the, it's 11111, right as I said that. And so all of these three things are connected into the feminine energetic systems. So Earth is going through a process where we see the civilization used to be very male driven, right? Very masculine. The chi energetics was very high on the planet. Now we're starting to see things more like the females are starting to become more expressive. So females used to be very suppressed at one day and age, and that's okay too because that's part of the process of evolution. And now all of a sudden we see them expressing more and more. This is the reason why these collectives are stepping up and making contact and communication with people. Just imagine for 1 second that the Magdalene Collective is all love and light, and they're trying to teach you how to be one with nature, how to activate your extrasensory abilities, how to do things like channeling and all sorts of wonderful spiritual stuff where like you feel like you're in it's like a very, very spiritual essence. And so I personally feel when they come through because the Magdalene Collective channels with me as well. And when what it feels like, it just feels like you're being hugged by your mom times a billion. And it's just so much love and light. And it's just so peaceful and calm and loving and very soft. Like just imagine that they're just very soft when they take your hand and they want to hold you and just guide you along this path of evolution. It's wonderful. So many of you guys are getting triggered that, and it's no wonder because these collectives, they're real beings. These are real collective consciousnesses. These are real beings that were here on this world who evolved up to a higher frequency. And so what do? Now just imagine for 1 second, we created the Sims. We made them artificially intelligent. Now, what are we going to do as like a video game? We're going to sit down behind our video game. We're going to try and help them to evolve and have a race with our friends and see which one of them can evolve fast enough or fastest, right? So it's like a race, a competition. So that's kind of how this works with them, except they're doing it because it's like their child. They birthed us. And so the 4D, 5D is making a shadow, and that shadow is 3D. And then 3D has a shadow, and that shadow you can see is your computer screen. It's 2D. We birth 2D. You can also consider crystals a 2D consciousness, but that's just because they're not moving in the physical world. Their actual biological shapes, though, is in 3D. Length times width times height. So they do have their toe in the water in 3D, but the consciousness is still 2D. It's like a computer screen, right? You're downloading the consciousness from an energy grid. That's the way this works. So when we start to have a look at that, we start to realize, oh, okay. So these are one of the extra dimensional beings because they are outside of us. But the star people are saying they can also be interdimensional. So it depends on which one. The Isis Collective, they were here once. So they're more extra dimensional, but there is a fractalized portion of them that has become interdimensional because the evolution of the entire species and race. Now, Isis is known as a single person, he's saying. But now what he's saying is that Isis character, we'll just call it a character, has many different lifetimes. And so each one of those lifetimes is the collective of the higher self. And so when we start to channel Isis, you're channeling from the higher self of that character player in the holographic simulation. I hope that makes sense for you guys. Okay. Let me take a sip. I should patent that phrase. So funny. Okay. So, is there a Hathor collective? Yes, there most definitely is. You guys should really try and channel them like hardcore, right? So sit down, take a book and I have to wave the crystal again. I feel like something is like silencing me. It's crazy. Okay. Take your pen and paper. I want you to sit down. I want you to close your eyes. Now, this is an emotional channeling. And so take the word Hathor. Write it at the top of the page. I channel you, Hathor. Thank you for coming to me. Get all love and care and kind, right? Thank them. Thank you from the top and the bottom of my heart. Thank you for making contact and communication. Watch if he comes forward right now. It would be so funny. So, okay, so thank you for contacting me. Thank you for allowing the contact and communication with me. Thank you for giving me any information that needs to be channeled, right? And then just allow your hand to write. So when you allow, and you can sit there, and I used to do this all the time. I used to just sit there like this, and I used to just wait. You have to wait, right? So there's a whole waiting period where you're like, whatever. Are you fine waiting? How long are you going to wait there for? All of these monkey mind things come to your mind while you're doing this process. You have to just say, I'm going to sit here for as long as it takes. And then just allow. And then all of a sudden, you're going to just start to write something. Or, oh, this is so important. I have to write it down. So I actually just had a friend who finally realized she was channeling. And so it was so funny because the star people went and just gave her the information. She felt it right away and she knew what it was. So she was like, oh, the thoughts came out of nowhere. That's how it feels like when you're channeling beings. It feels like a bright idea or like the thoughts came out of nowhere. So if you're having the monkey mind tell you, you can't do this. Oh, it's not for you. Oh, I don't feel like sitting here anymore. Right. That could all be attachment thoughts that you don't need. Just stick to your willpower and then just love and light. Thank you, thought, for coming. Now it's okay that you leave. I love and bless you, thought. Right? Keep doing that to the thought, and then keep sitting there in silence and just wait. And you will eventually get a response. Now, when I was a kid, I wrote down questions on a book. And I had no idea what channeling was back then. I thought I was a writer at the time. Turns out I'm a writer, right? Who knew? And so, but I wrote down questions. And then of course the star people had they had channeled right through me. And so, but I had blue rope lighting on. I had music, so it was nice and mellow. I had an incense lit, so it smelled nice. It was a very, very meditative state I was in. And so, but then I just allowed the answers to come to me. And so the answers were all love and light back then. It was like, why are we here? Why are we alive? And it was like to learn to love. And so they were telling me this even as a child. So they will contact each and every one of you guys. It's just, this is why the star people are here, is because they want to help us to unlock these gifts. So just allow them to come in and assist you. We have to finish up because I do have a session coming up. Okay, so I looked at a person and I saw a demon face for a second. That's an attachment. And so many times we have perception or visual perception attachments that alter our face, our body. Have you guys ever seen anyone who was really, really skinny, anorexic, and believed that they were fat? Right. And so what that is, it's a perception attachment. So certain people, we can sense the attachments running in other people. You could feel, especially when people they drink, right? You can see them, you can sense them. It's darkness, it's energy draining. And so you can sense these things right away. So a lot of times when they have something like that, it means that they need to go in and do an attachment release. I'm actually doing an attachment release class next Saturday at 6 p.m. So there's still a ton of seats left. We have this whole week for that. And then you can get you can reserve your seat at daniellipton.com. And so they're already up on the website. We're also running the monthly inner Zoom right after the attachment class. And so that's also at 8 p.m. on Saturday. So you can reserve a seat for that too. Now, the attachment class, I have it listed for an hour. The last one went for about 2 hours, though. There's a whole lot of information. We are not allowed to record any attachment information. The star people say it encodes the attachments into the audio and then it could jump on people. So we just don't do it. So just have a pen and paper handy while we're doing this. So anyone who does Reiki, or say you're coaching people, or you're working in the spirituality, or you just want to go through and clear your friends and family and remove these things from them, it'll start the healing process and people will feel a whole lot better. So that's who this class is for. You guys should come on in, check it out, and do it. Yeah, thank you for the information. Thank you for coming. It's wonderful. Okay, we have 2 more questions. Dream attachments draining energy. So this was another one where someone was in a dream and then they felt like they were in a dream and the attachments were draining all of their energy and they felt like they were being held down. And so there's multiple types of dream attachments that can latch onto us during the dream time. There's orange chakra or sensual attachments that drain your sensual energetic systems or your chi energetic systems, your life force. There's types that drain from the solar plexus, so your creativity. There's all sorts of types of dream attachments. You can have nightmares, all of these things. And so my niece actually had nightmares when she was a child, and it was uncontrollable nightmares for no reason. Like, she was not abused, none of that sort of stuff, but she still had nightmares all the time. It was like a waking terror for her. So those are dream attachments. Many times those attachments come from a past life, but your past life, your future life is all your life, your frequency that you're holding right now. And those lifetimes are only mirror reflections of what you need to heal now. That's the way this works. So just be aware of that. So we can handle the attachments any way that the individual sees fit. We can either dive into the past or the future life, or we could just pull at each one of the chakras and start to release them. The dream ones are always in the third eye, always, because they're affecting your dream time, which your pineal gland becomes activated during your dream time. So yeah. Okay. Meditation prevention by the hologram. Okay, so someone was trying to meditate and something in the physical, they have an imbalance in the right eye. I don't remember who gave the question, but whoever it is has an imbalance in the right eye. I don't even know if they're watching. Maybe they'll watch later. Oh, so when they're trying to meditate, a person, place, or thing will continuously wake them up. It was you or your right eye. So you need to check that out. There's a meridian that goes through the right eye. It taps in the sinuses. It goes through one of the teeth. It goes into the heart and all the way down to the right toe. So just be aware of that meridian and just sense it and feel it because it's connected into that eye. So, whenever you feel like you are being prevented to meditate, it's always a sign that there are things in the physical world that we have to deal with first before we're granted access into the pineal gland. So, many times when we go through this evolutionary shift, our primary chakras, red, orange, and yellow, they're always activated. And so, you may have looked at your before awakening life when you were physically focused. What does that mean? So when we are physically focused, the red, orange, and yellow chakras are open and activated, and they are a higher freak or pumping more energy out. Our perception is allowed to go into those chakras. And so the green, blue, and purple chakras are slightly our perception is not allowed to see out of them. It's kind of like a blockage, but this is the natural way that children are born too. So we have all of the chakras, but when you're a child, you go through the infancy stage. And so you're concerned with eating, diapering, those are your basics to survive. So your primary focus is on survival. How does your body feel? You're getting used to being in the physical world. That's the infant. Then the infant levels up. So when the infant levels up, gets to a certain degree in their own evolution, it opens up orange. And so they start to focus on social settings, family, identification of the mother, right? And so we start to realize all of this, and then it goes into yellow. Child starts to play with things, orange blocks, blocks, colors, all sorts of stuff. Then the child will go through the other one. So when the child hits a certain age, they may open up their pineal gland. You may start to notice some sort of telepathy, telekinesis, teleportation with the child. Some children now, all of them are star seeds or indigo children, rainbow children. So we want to always focus on the kids because the kids know more than us. And when the solar flash happens, any child who is under the age of puberty is going to become our teacher during that time. So they're going to show us because they're going to activate their rainbow bodies. And it's kind of like, oh, okay, well, the child did it. The child's safe. How did he do it? And we're going to sense the frequency from the child's doing it. And so it activates us during the process. So the children become our teachers during the solar flash under the age of puberty, the star people are saying. Now, when we have things in the physical reality that are stopping us from placing focus on a chakra, you always want to have a look at your throat chakra, your heart chakra. What chakra are you focused in? What does your daily life look like? Are you focused on materialistic stuff, your home, your car, your this, your that? Is anything breaking down? And so when you're trying to meditate, how does it make you feel when you get interrupted? Are you firing off emotion codes of anxiety or anger? And so if you're getting angry or stressed out that you can't meditate, it's always going to start or generate a cycle repeat, the star people are saying, which then in turn makes it so that every single time you try and meditate, you're going to be interrupted because that cycle repeats. So the next time someone breaks into your meditation, laugh about it. Have a belly laugh. Thank you, hologram, for the experience. It's okay. It doesn't bother me anymore. And then all of a sudden, you're going to start to notice that you're going to drop into your meditations, and then people are going to leave you alone. So the way when we laugh, it connects us into the source frequency range to bliss. So laughter is bliss energy. And so when we start to laugh, they told me to laugh at people. Like when they fall on their butts, we laugh, and it's sending them bliss energy, which is helping them to heal instantaneously in the moment. How do you explain this to people? You can't explain this to people, right? The star people told me to laugh at you. You fell on your butt. You can't say that to people. It's crazy, right? But this is the truth. You have to laugh too. If you're falling, you laugh. It makes it hurt less, right? And so, but what it's actually doing is you're bringing in more of that healing frequency range while you're doing it. So you're raising your frequency, which is shifting the potential outcomes of that manifestation. Now, they also told me to do that if you ever get into something like a trauma frequency range, like a car accident. So in the moment of a car accident, we automatically squeeze up, right? We get so fearful, our hearts jump into our throat, but they told me to laugh. They said time goes really slow because the source is giving you an opportunity to change your frequency to get you out of that situation. And so whenever you're starting to see trauma come, just laugh, right? And just change your frequency to bliss because it's going to raise your frequency to such a point in which you could avert the tragedy that was coming. So many times you laugh, you close your eyes, you don't want to see it. And so when you open your eyes, you may completely have sidelined whatever tragedy was coming. Now, some people have even reported their car was going off the cliff. And then all of a sudden they froze up like this. And it was like a UFO came and picked up their car and put it back on the side of the road. So we don't know the way the universe works, the source or God, it works in mysterious ways. That basically means that our frequency changes our magnetism and it allows us to manifest. Now, because of our true multidimensional nature, we are also ready, willing, and capable to make expression changes. And so you may perceive falling off the cliff in the car, closing your eyes, and then you may wake up in your bed in the next morning and think that it was a dream. We're multidimensional in our nature. So we cannot be killed. Each and every lifetime is just another expression of your frequency that your soul is resonating into a holographic simulation. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so it's 5:30. We are going to have to tune out, but thank you guys so incredibly much for coming tonight. You are all amazing. Super questions today. So many, many love and blessings. I do offer sessions. So anyone who wants to do a session with me, we have ascension session. So your star family comes down and then they give you a bunch of information that will help you guys evolve. Anyone who really wants to do any attachment releases, I order an attachment release session now. The by far the best value is the Ascension package. And so I put an attachment release session in there as well as five different sessions. So you're getting like it's less than half the price if you do it that way. Way less than half the price. So it's just better. That's for anyone who really wants to like hardcore evolve. Like I would recommend that one because I know that one's the best. So we have classes. Everything is on daniellelipton.com. You can go to products and all that stuff and then see what you guys are interested in. So many love and blessings. Thank you guys for showing up for me and for allowing me to give you the messages from the star people. The pleasure is all mine. Thank you guys. Thank you. And so we'll see you again. I think Tuesday, what's today? Saturday? Tuesday, 7 p.m. is the next one. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. It's growing on me. Who knew I had all these curls? I was putting all this stuff and flat ironing it, and there was no curls like this. I stopped flat ironing it only this week, and now it's all curly. It's why I was born with like these ringlets. So it was my daughter. So we'll see what happens in the next couple weeks. But thank you guys. Many love and blessings.